We are back here casting 1-2-3 versus Gigantti, Bren, and this is a case where a lot of people feel like 1-2-3 passed their most important test just a week ago. But now the question is, can they keep the momentum rolling forward against a hungry Finnish team in Gigantti?
Gigantti are looking strong as well. Here's the thing, 1-2-3, definitely probably one of the more favorite teams as they're coming into this event. Misfits, I think nobody can argue, are sort of the #1 seed. But 1-2-3 are definitely contending once again, as they did in Contenders Season 0, for that second seed spot and potentially going for that playoffs, for that finals. Gigantti is going to be another test for them, another challenge. They're going to have to overcome it. And Gigantti, they haven't been messing around this tournament. They've been playing super well in almost all their fundamentals. I agree with the analyst desk. I think their fundamentals on 1-2-3 are going to be slightly better, the teamwork. But IPN coming in last minute as a bit of a replacement for Bock, who's away in Italy, that could swing things quite heavily, I think, into Gigantti's favor.
Anytime you're changing up one player, even though from the outside in it might not seem like the biggest change, it can have a big effect on team chemistry and how teams actually play together.
Yeah.
You take a look at the North American side, where Rogue definitely looked a little bit worse than normal the week that Wins was gone. And you've just seen this over and over again in Overwatch, where you can never just assume that you'll have a sub in and it will be fine, particularly when you're dealing with supports that really do quite a bit behind the scenes.
We're especially because we've entered a meta where it is the supports and tanks that have a lot of impact, a lot more impact. If you're replacing your DPS player, as long as they can get the initial kills, as long as they're not dying often, at the end of the day, you're not really going to be sacrificing much. But when you get rid of a support who knows your set strategies, your set plays, that's when you're going to be running into difficulties. And we'll find out if IPN actually can still slot in nicely with this 1-2-3 roster and really help them out. I mean, the analyst there seems to think, it's just Sideshow that agrees that 1-2-3 are going to be coming out on top. The rest of them are going to be voting for Gigantti. ZP, what's your prediction coming into this matchup?
Going for this, I feel like from what we've seen so far, 1-2-3 does have a slight edge, so I'm more in camp Sideshow. I don't know if that curses Sideshow or helps him out, but I guess we'll see. You should be rooting for Sideshow, right? You guys have at least the UK bond.
The UK bond? I don't know if we have to agree with everything that we each other agrees with, I don't think it matters that much, but regardless of that, let's talk about these team compositions. They're running dive on either side, so it's going to be the 2-2-2 dive compositions, but Gigantti have got Linksa on the Genji. Now we see Fraggy. He's just waiting patiently for the right time to strike. Not even going to be using his leap here. And look at that. He just gets a solo kill with the Discord Orb onto Denia.
Secret Agent Fraggy. You would think that someone that large as Winston would be that stealthy, but he was indeed, and it puts Gigantti over the top. It's a quick Lucio pickoff and just very easy stuff here for Gigantti. They put themselves at 6-on-4 advantage, and now they can just casually finish this out, which they are currently doing.
Yeah, it's going to be a case of just, as you mentioned, cleaning up the remaining players, which they can quite happily do. Haven't actually capped the point just yet. They need to bring down Denia, who's just floating around the map, but he is eventually going to get brought down there. Links with the Swift Strike. Now, ultimate-wise, Shaz has already built up his Transcendence. That is actually massive. The fact that they've already got a defensive support ult on the first team fight was 1-2-3 are lagging behind. It's going to mean essentially massive things here for the side of Gigantti coming into this next engagement.
And part of the reason for that is that 1-2-3 did lose Denia early on the last fight, but IPN taken down immediately. Again. Fraggy, very good engagements here onto the supports both times here. And even though Gigantti, they have the support ult in reserve, Bren, because of Fraggy's early engage, they don't have to use them.
No. They can just hold on to them for days and days and days. And now Big Goose has now had the opportunity to build up his own sound barrier. We see Fraggy almost with the Primal Rage, Linksa almost with the Dragon Blade. Gigantti have got a massive ult advantage here. Now, for 1-2-3, the win condition is going to be trying to pick off one of those supports, or essentially trying to force them out. They want to be going for this ult economy push here, where they try and force out as many ults as they possibly can out of Gigantti.
Well, right now, as 1-2-3 is trying to move in, Davin is already in the back line, applying a lot of pressure to the supports. Tonic has to use the Primal Rage here early on. However, the pressure has forced Gigantti to use the Transcendence, so 1-2-3 able to back out a little bit, and now they drop the beat. Finzi, though, doesn't really get that musical benefit. He goes down, and Gigantti, they have to use 2 support ults here, Bren, but they are able to hold relatively firm.
Well, they're holding on for the time being, but how much longer? Snillo is in the backlines. He's brought down Fraggy. That means there's no more main tank for him, and here we go. It's a set plays coming out for self-destruct by 1-2-3, trying to connect, not quite finding the targets, but still Snillo is there with a pulse bomb, and Zapis, though, he wants to answer back, picks up the 2K, damn him with the pulse bomb. Gigantti are turning this one around.
Both teams right now playing with explosives, but Gigantti just a little bit ahead. And this is dangerous for 1-2-3. 1-2-3, they use the Transcendence towards the end of the fight, and Bren, that's just not good at all. It's not going to give them what they want here. They could have had a little bit more time to regroup. IPN felt pressured, and now Gigantti might really be able to put them away at this Dragon Blade. Here it comes.
Well, here it is. Lynx A whips out the blade, looking for the opportunities, finds 2 kills off the back of it. Can he get a third? Not quite, but he set his team up. He's put the damage in, and with the overtime burning down, ticking down, only a few players are remaining on the side of 1-2-3, and this initial round will go to Gigantti. I just want to point out as well, in the final moments there, IPN using his Transcendence, you might have heard me, you know, sigh in disgust at the usage of that Transcendence, but I realized, you know, the time was running out. He needed to use that Transcendence as soon as it came off cooldown, because his team, if he died there and then, he was not going to get another opportunity to come into that fight. So as bad as that Transcendence looked by IPN, I don't think it really could have been helped, because he realistically, that was the only opportunity he was going to have to use it, most likely.
Well, he also could have disengaged earlier, or at the very least on the Transcendence, gotten out of the fight, because he stayed on the Transcendence on the point there and died before the rest of 1-2-3 had gotten in, and it wasn't quite at the moment where you had to be all in. So IPN still could have saved himself there in multiple different ways, even if it meant the Transcendence at the end just backing off to live. So I still think it was fairly questionable there for IPN.
We have it. We're going to be jumping straight into this one. We see 1-2-3 looking to try and take the high ground here. Fraggy diving in with the rest of his team, putting in so much work. Denier immediately falling down to half HP. Will get brought down, but equalized in the end. Snillo will pick up that initial kill onto Fraggy. Still, this fight continues.
And the changes we see from the teams here is that both teams are running a 76 now, and 1-2-3, this is working out a little bit better for them. Finzi has been well protected into the back line. Gigantti suffered a few early losses, and now it's up to 1-2-3 to really secure what they have. They throw bodies onto the point right now. Davin tries to get in, and no! Booped and taken down by IPN. So that's going to lead 1-2-3 to securing the control of this point, and Gigantti, they do have to back out a little bit here.
That was a really well fought fight there by 1-2-3, and that they managed to pick off Fraggy as he leaped into the fray. So you see the fight still continuing here as they try and even it out. And 1-2-3 are basically just cementing their advantage. Committing the pulse bomb there for the D-Mech onto Zappis is going to buy them a lot of time. And again, they can afford to just throw out the pulse bomb. It builds so quickly, but this aggression that 1-2-3 are showing, they're not messing around.
Gigantti's shot calling there was very questionable, where they were half in, half out, and 1-2-3, they just took a look at them and says, actually, we're all in. We're going to make the decision for you and get you off of our turf entirely. So Gigantti now finally in a full reset, a little bit off the beam path, but now you see Davin coming in off the side. A pulse bomb at the ready. He's moving in.
Pulse bomb gets laid out, doesn't find the target he's quite looking for, but still, it's going to be the slow siege here by Gigantti as they look to try and take the high ground position. Now Fraggy moves into the back lines, searching for the opportunity, will force out IPN's Transcendence. Not a bad trade for Fraggy, has that Primal Rage, so he is safe from getting pooped off. In fact, he's gone for the old wrap around the 2017. He's moved into the back lines with the Primal Rage, and now the Sound Barrier ZP are starting to get forced.
1-2-3, they use a sound barrier and move right in, and it's very successful. Not only do they blow up Chaz, but Finzi is the cleanup with Attack Visor. The one thing I think is worth noting here, though, is that 1-2-3 did invest a lot of ult power towards the end of that fight, so that's not the worst for Gigantti as they roll up now 76% to 0. This will be their best chance to flip things over and get this match rolling back in their favor.
Especially with these 2 ults that they've got, you know, Lynx are holding onto the Tactical Visor. Davin, you know, a lot of weight on this guy's shoulders because he needs to be finding an opening pick. He almost brings down Snillo very close to it, but now has the pulse bomb ready and waiting, but he's just trying to bait out this engagement. Recall. Self-destruct is sent out as well into the backlines by Gigantti. They don't actually find any kills off the back of it, ZP.
And here's the tough thing for Gigantti. Davin wasn't able to get to the back line. He was checked by the other Tracer, had to use his rewind, couldn't move in. Now Gigantti, they use Attack Visor in a panic. They only get one. 1-2-3 is holding very strong right now in Gigantti. Falling, but they do flip the point in all the chaos. The problem is here, Bren, is that they've lost so many people that how can they possibly expect to hold this right now? Yeah,
too little, too late, realistically there. I mean, they realized they could, you know, finish up the point, let Gigantti flip it over. And with the overtime ticking down, IPN is just going to be with the rest of his team transcendencing. This will be a round on the board here for 1-2-3. Next round here will take map number 1 in this series. And a long line between these two teams. A lot to prove for both of them as well.
No doubt about it, where Gigantti, of course, they don't want to lose this and be under pressure for the rest of Contender Season 1. Meanwhile, for 1-2-3, if they're able to take this matchup here versus Gigantti, they will almost assuredly bring themselves to the playoffs. They would have to basically tank the rest of the way to not make it at that point. So there are some implications at stake here. Now, though, we do have some change-ups here as we move into the village. No longer is 1-2-3 running the 76. Instead, Finzi has moved to Zarya.
Gigantti's team composition here is very high health pools, and they're not actually running an Ana in conjunction with it. You normally see Anas with Reinhardt simply because it's very difficult to give a Reinhardt the heals he requires with just a Zenyatta and a Lucio. So I'm curious now if Gigantti's team composition will work out in their favor, but you can see the teams start clashing head on. They got the Zarya bubbles to mitigate a lot of the damage, but Tonic is brought down to minuscule amount of HP, and he's brought down in the backlines by David.
Tonic very good at shaking pressure, just not quite as good this time as Gigantti. Using the Reinhardt shield to their advantage, just letting Fraggy be the vanguard as they outpoke 1-2-3 on all levels. 1-2-3, what they were looking for there, Bren, was to dive into the back, get an early kill, and flank the Reinhardt on both sides, but simply didn't happen. Gigantti just too strong in the poke game here early on.
Yeah, really utilizing the Rein shield to just mitigate as much damage, as well as Zappis as well. That was clever usage of bubbles at the right time there to try and build them up to high energy and secure that team fight. However, Fincy is the one currently with the ult advantage when it comes to Graviton Surge, if we were to compare the two, but it's very close between them, and 1-2-3 now have to try and find an initiation into the back, but Davin just answers back with the kill onto IPN.
And that is soul-crushing for 1-2-3. When you lose your support that early, it's very difficult to make anything from the fight. And in fact, what we see here is Gigantti, they take the advantage. Fraggy, he is no back-butted. He's going to dive in with the rest of his team. And 1-2-3 forcibly put back into the spawn room here. But I do think next fight here, Bren, Gravitons will be in play.
They will be indeed. Both teams are very close to their own Graviton Surge, and they also have something to combo with the Pulse Bombs themselves. We'll see if they look to try and utilize it. And Tonic will lead in the initiative by playing the point, try and force a few of them back, but Happy Cool gets brought down by Linkser. And with the follow-up as well, Davin is definitely there. And I gotta say, ZP, it is a lost team fight here for 1-2-3. Team Gigantti, they don't even have to use any support ultimates. But the weak link that's been evident so far is IPN. He's been getting picked off initially at these fights. You know, obviously, you can't blame him too much because he's come into this new roster with limited practice, but still, it is sort of worrying, you know, because Bok, you got to be asking the question, would 1-2-3 be making the same mistakes if they had Bok?
No, and part of it is that Bok was very good at setting up Snillo. Snillo's been getting less early picks here because he's not getting the Discord orb opportunities.
Wow,
but there's a Graviton
aggressive
right now. Early Graviton to open the fight from 1-2-3. They only get one off of it before the Transcendence comes in. And now Zappa says, you have a Graviton? I have a Graviton. Grabs both supports and forces out the Transcendence the other way, but the Pulse Bomb doesn't care. Takes down two. Gigantti might be taking this fight yet, but it is very close.
Still a winnable fight for 1-2-3. In fact, the critical mistake was Gigantti actually overlapped their support ults in the midst of this. Now the overtime ticks down, but 1-2-3 will get the flip onto the point just in the nick of time. Davin forced to retreat for the time being. And like I mentioned before, even though this fight is still continuing, Tonic will use his Primal Rage to try and finish off Fraggy and whatnot. This fight was essentially won off the back of Gigantti. Again, they used two support ultimates over the top of each other. They got scared by the Graviton Surge coming out by Fincy. Again, a bit of miscommunication. If they just chained those support ults, this could have been Gigantti's map.
It very well could have been, but it still might be. Gigantti is still working with the big advantage here. 1-2-3, they're under the pressure to not lose a single team fight from here on out. Happy Cool pulls out the blade, runs into the indoor area, and finds Shaz. Nothing too flashy there, but it is effective. 1-2-3. Uses the Dragon Blade for a team fight win, and they get to save the barrier for the next fight. This is really important for ult economy where they don't have much of a buffer here.
Here's the thing as well, yeah. I mean, Gigantti, their win condition for the next fight is going to be to force out that sound barrier from Denny either too early, try and force it out in unfavorable positions, or just kill him early on. So that's really what you got to be looking out for right now. Denny to stay alive and get off a decent sound barrier. Gonna be trying to take the fight in the meantime, and will be the tactical visor here being used by Linkser, trying to force them out. Denia does use the sound barrier, not before Tonic fell beforehand.
The barrier was just a little bit late, and that caused Tonic to fall there. That's a really big deal for Gigantti, as they're taking this a little bit slower, Bren. They're not immediately deep diving in. They're keeping Linkser in the back, and they're establishing control. This is smart when you have that one-person advantage. I like how Gigantti's just being surgical here, but now, 1-2-3, they commit the other way. 5 players with the Transcendence back into Gigantti.
This is actually super intelligent by the side of 1-2-3. They waited for Tonic to get back into the fight before engaging with the Transcendence, and now we see the Graviton Surge being used. Anything to combo with? Not quite. It's going to be all of Gigantti getting trapped up, but no actual kills in the midst of it. Davin throws out the Pulse Bomb, looks for the kills himself. Fraggy's still holding on to his Primal Rage here. The point's going to be ticking down into the overtime. Gigantti looking like the victors here in the moment, ZP. Fraggy trying to secure this one out.
Right now, Davin is the garbage man, taking down the remaining members of 1-2-3 as they try and get back in the point. Denia, a man alone, a man getting booped and bopped by Winston and electrocuted right down. Gigantti on the verge of taking map 1. We're in overtime, and 1-2-3, your time is done. Gigantti has taken map 1 here in this 4-map set.
Incredibly close game between these two teams. Really, I think it's going to be, that's the story we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of these maps in this series. It's going to be incredibly close between these two teams. They're very heavily matched, I should say. You know, just a few minor mistakes from either side almost cost this series from either side. You know, Gigantti were making mistakes, but also 1-2-3. But at the end of the day, we also saw them playing incredibly well, incredibly fluid play from both these teams. You can tell they're well practiced. Definitely the favorites coming into this tournament.
I think the thing I'd want to praise most for Gigantti was that final team fight where they took down Tonic early on because the sound barrier came in just a little bit late. And what you see in Overwatch from a lot of teams is that they would immediately dive in. They would go, well, it's 6v5, we have the advantage, we're just going to roll in. And instead, what you actually saw there was that they played it slow. Linkzerb stayed on the high ground, they poked, but they didn't overly commit, and they sort of pushed 1-2-3 in a bit of a corner.
Yeah, I mean, the next series at least is going to be definitely an interest to watch. I mean, if you guys weren't interested now, this game has been shown to be an absolute slobber knocker between these two teams. Going to be incredibly close.
All right, well, we will be heading into map number 2 after a short break. Stay with us. Lots of good Overwatch yet to come. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Season 1 EU. I'm ZP, rejoined here by Bren once more. And we are heading into map number 2 of 1-2-3 versus Gigantti. Bren, Eichenwald on the menu.
I was kind of hoping for King's Row, but I think it's understandable that 1-2-3 have gone for Eichenwald out of all the maps, because King's Row is essentially a very strong map for Gigantti. I just thought we would have made a fantastic game, to be honest, at the end of the day, seeing these two teams, frag it out on the Reinhardt roles. But now Eichenwald, definitely not a bad choice when it comes to the maps, because you get to see a lot of different compositions. The second stage, you get to see a lot of dive sort of compositions. The first stage and last stage, a lot of Reinhardt comes out to play. Definitely a map that favors, I'd say, neither team. It's just sort of it's out of all the potential hybrid maps to pick, this one probably fits 1-2-3 the best. But it's still, it's definitely not a bad map for Gigantti by any means.
Well, part of the method of the madness from 1-2-3 to bring this to Eichenwald is that we did see that they had a very good understanding of engagements and disengagements just a week ago, where Tonic was a master of playing United like a fiddle, where he would leap in, force out transcendences, and still get out with his life. Now, it will be a little bit more difficult here, though, because they're working around the substitute support, where, what have we seen here so far? Tonic has died in a few situations that he might not have died in previously. And also, Snillo has been having some trouble getting targets down, because if you look back at 1-2-3, Snillo and Bach work together really well between marking people and keeping Snillo alive. And Snillo's actually had a much rougher time here so far than I think we've seen all season long. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, he's been forced into this tracer position, and he has taken to it extremely well. Before he was their standout sort of Soldier 76 players, but 1-2-3 definitely showing us that they are a capable team in this tournament. Definitely one of the contenders for the top spots coming into the playoffs at least. But as the countdown begins, we can talk about the team compositions. Gigantti are on the defense, and as I mentioned, they're going to be running that traditional sort of, traditional tank composition. The Reinhardt, they've got Zappis on the Zarya, but still, again, they've got Shaz on the Zenyatta as opposed to running an Ana for the superior heals. 1-2-3, meanwhile, are going to be going with the triple DPS.
1-2-3, nothing too fancy here. Going very standard, although with Finzi as a 76 in the back, it's not quite as aggressive as if you were running, say, a Tracer Genji setup. Instead, this gives him the ability to position and poke a little bit more, and also set up Snillo for good pickoff. So 1-2-3, they're taking it slow, but Bren, they are poised to move in here at any moment.
They're just poking and prodding, aren't they? Looking for the right opportunity. Now, Tonic will now initiate in. They decided that Fraggy is actually the target they want to go on to here. Brought him down to half HP, but all that's meant is that Davin has an open array in the back lines, and he's already taken down IPN. And with that one kill on the Zenyatta player, means that the follow-up kills can just flow in for them. 1-2-3, they're going to be forced to reset here. Gigantti with a successful defense.
The thing about this triple DPS comp right now for 1-2-3 is that they don't have the diva that they could use to otherwise protect this. They're very much all in, and sometimes you're all out, as Gigantti has proven here, where Gigantti was able to take them out. And 1-2-3, they're just looking for the early pickoff to snowball this here, where they might have time to poke and prod, but if they don't get that early pickoff, it can quickly go against them, because Gigantti, they're far more durable with this multi-tank setup.
Wow, okay. Finzi falling there as well, not great at all for the Zyda 1-2-3, because they need to be keeping their players alive. But what they're doing is they're playing, the patient, the waiting game, waiting for a target to go on. They're going to wait for IPN's calls of the Discord orbs and just jump on that one target when they feel like the time is right. But all they're doing when they're losing players like this is building up more and more ult economy for Gigantti for the follow-up fight. Look, Zappis already has the Graviton Surge, and they've got a pulse bomb to boot.
This is where 1-2-3 can be walking into a trap, and they don't realize that it's on the way. Snillo is moving around to the side, looking for the support pick off, but there's the Graviton. Snillo isn't even in the fight. Graviton is in, but the follow-through not immediately there. 1-2-3, with the sound barrier, is fighting this one back.
There's a fantastic sound barrier by Big Goose, but will it be enough to bring this one out, I should say? Or Denier sound barrier, I should say. Now we see Lynx using the tactical visor to try and clean this one up. Happy Cool will be brought down. He does find the kill onto Finzi as well, but now there's time to re-engage. The tactical visor is done. Denier brings down Zappis. Only a single player left on the point here. Lynxer is just running away with the rest of his life, trying to basically survive. Now Gigantti looking to re-engage. Fraggy with the Earth Shatter brings down Tonic, but I believe that is the only player they do manage to bring down.
Gigantti right now desperately trying to fight this back, and they might be doing it. The Transcendence is out. That's going to ruin Happy Cool's day. Can't go in with the Blade, but now another Transcendence out here from 1-2-3. All teams all in right now onto this point. Ultimate's being used. Anything that you have is on deck, but Linkser might be bringing this one back. Finzi, countered by the D.Va. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, falls off to his death.
This is actually mental how Gigantti have managed to defend this one out. Even like just the rotations of players around the point, perfectly buying time. Linkser put in so much work in every single team fight there. Coming in late, was working the high ground towards the tail end of the fight, but even at the start and during the middle, he was buying a lot of time, making players chase him. And now, ZP, 60 seconds. That's what it's been burnt down to for 1-2-3 to try and get an initiation here on Gigantti.
Davin right now dives in, doesn't get the pulse bomb, but the Earth Tower connects. Fraggy doesn't get the fall through, gets blown up instead.
Wow.
Snillo flips that one right around, and 1-2-3, they're making their way in. Every kill going their way, and Bren, they were in the fire, and now they've gotten out of it to some degree. They are going to get this first point.
It was a cutesy play by Gigantti. We saw Fraggy on the Reinhardt wanted to go in aggressively with the Earth Shatter because 1-2-3 they had nothing to protect them from it except for Tonic's bubble. Unfortunately, didn't connect the targets they needed. In fact, it was Snillo. It was the one-man show from him with the pulse bomb, putting in the work necessary to succeed. But now, answering back, they're going to be trading 1-for-1 again. Snillo does bring down Shaz in the back lines, but not before Tonic ended up falling a little bit too aggressively there. And now Gigantti's time to strike. They want to take this aggressively, but they need to be careful, ZP, because they're super low.
This is where teams can either delay for a long period of time and stagger this out properly, or simply get mowed over. And right now, Gigantti, they're looking like a freshly mowed lawn of grass. But Linkser actually might be pulling it back just a bit. He's made it more even than it otherwise could have been. But in the end, Bren, what we're seeing here is 1-2-3 is keeping the payload moving over.
I mean, the longer that fight went out, the better it was going to be for 1-2-3 at the end of the day, because they had the spawn advantage, so to speak. They were going to be coming back into the fight much faster than the defending team, simply because their spawn is closer to the actual payload. Now we see Gigantti looking to try and initiate in. They're going to be using Big Goose's sound barrier to get a bit of a health pool going, and now with the Transcendence by 1-2-3 traded out between them. Finzi with the Tactical Visor just holding on to it for the time being.
1-2-3 had to use the Transcendence though down a player. Denia was taken down early before he could barrier, and this Transcendence has bought 1-2-3 very little indeed. Half-a-cool with the blade under pressure, has to back out just a bit. And this is a brawl, but it's a brawl that favors Gigantti. They have more men on the point. 1-2-3, they're staggering their own men here. And at some point, Brian, you have to look at this and go, okay, maybe it's time to reset, because it wasn't going anywhere for them.
Yeah, 1-2-3, they need a change of pace somehow in this game, because Gigantti just keep taking the fight to them, and they still end up coming out on top, even though if you're playing aggressively, you're giving up your positioning advantage and whatnot. 1-2-3 right now, they are going to be getting a bit of cart time pushed in, but Gigantti, look at this, they're already on the back lines pressuring IPN so hard. They realize, you know, IPN, he's the weak link, and they need to try and protect him now. Denia with the sound barrier moves it in south, the strut as well, sent straight up into the stratosphere by Zappis as he looks for the targets. Doesn't find any kills off the back of it, but there's a whole slew of ultimates here, ZP being used by both sides.
I'm not quite sure if Finzi had in the sights, but it wasn't a whole lot of targets, that's for sure. Meanwhile, 1-2-3, powered by Snillo, still making their approach into the back, and no one's on Snillo right now. Every clip doing a good deal of damage. He's able to find Big Goose and has the pulse bomb at the ready. Doesn't even need to use it here. So the visor, even though it didn't do that much, it was Snillo and the tanks of 1-2-3 that finally made that crucial space. And Bren, Snillo's looking for more.
He is. He's got the pulse bomb. Is he going to commit it? He is indeed. And he gets the kill onto Fraggy. That could be massive for them. The main tank gone down, but still, 1-2-3, they've got 20 seconds to try and push us as far as they possibly can. You can see they've already set up the positioning. Happy-Cool is forward. Tonic on the high ground, waiting like a gargoyle, just like a little statue, just waiting for his prey to come through the exit. And it is Gigantti. They need to initiate. They need to do it now.
They use a sound barrier. They are going to try and delay this out, but Happy-Cool holding on to self-destruct right now. 1-2-3 just doing a good job of pressuring both doorways out, and now the self-destruct in over the top. Will you get out in time? No, Zappis blown right up. And yet, respawns are coming in. This isn't entirely taken here by 1-2-3. However, flinks are falling. This is getting very close indeed.
Yeah, Snillo now just needs to try and focus down the right targets, but Gigantti are coming back into the fight here with the follow-up players. Now we see the Transcendence by Shaz being used, trying to keep the rest of his team alive, buying crucial seconds for them. Now, Denia opting to commit his own sound barrier. We see Tonic moving in with the Primal Rage, and we see what he can do with this on Eichenwald in particular, running around to just get into the fight in the nick of time. ZP, I know you're eager, man. Get in there,
Linkser is coming right in. The Dragon Blade is out. Team Gigantti, the ultimates are coming up at the right time. They're cleaning this out, and though Finzi has the tack visor, he doesn't have a team around him anymore. Fraggy able to make some crucial space. Will it be enough? Finzi, no. Booped and bopped in the corner, and Gigantti, they're going the hold right before second.
Yeah, Gigantti pulling off an extreme defense throughout that entire stage of Eichenwald. First point, incredible stall capabilities. Lynx are playing out of his mind as well. And even in during the Streets phase, the aggressive forward holds working out for them time and time again. Now, the question is on the reverse, can they commit to that? Can they get to the checkpoint, the 1-2-3? It's not a hard ask by any means to get to that. Not even the second checkpoint down to Eichenwald, just before it. You know, not even having to secure it for them. So really, 1-2-3, they've got their work cut out for them if they want to try and take this map ahead.
The one upside here for 1-2-3, where it's not entirely doom and gloom, is that we know they're capable of both a good first and second point defense. Their second point defense is actually sort of the hallmark of what we saw from them a week ago. So I would say, even though if you take a look at map stats, they're definitely in a tough position here where Gigantti has an edge empirically. 1-2-3 is not as disadvantaged as other teams would be in the same situation. The question is, are they going to be able to keep their defensive composure here as Gigantti goes on the attack?
Yeah, that is the question indeed. And Gigantti, they're a team that can show that they can run multiple compositions. You know, they can run the tank compositions, they can run the dive compositions, and they have a lot of success of it. You know, the introduction of Davin and Lynx playing the Genji has added a lot of flexibility for the Gigantti squad that they didn't quite have when they were ninjas in pajamas. But now we see 1-2-3, they're going to be on this defense, and they're going to be running a 2-2-2 dive composition, double hit scan once again, something that they tried and tested. Put Fincy on the Soldier 76, put Snillo on that Tracer, and just watch them fly and see if they can get this defense. I mean, at the end of the day, this was 1-2-3's map pick. Is this going to be still doable for them?
We'll have to find out here as 1-2-3, they do go to the defense, and I think a key part of this defense here is that they're going to be holding further back. I don't expect too many counter dives coming in from them unless Snillo gets an early pickoff. For Gigantti, not only are they looking to dive in, but if they could just punish Snillo early on, that would make their approach rather easy indeed. And as you see, Snillo already going for the early poke, but no chill here for Gigantti. They're already in. Yeah,
they want to rush into the back lines. They want to do the strategy that was employed there by 1-2-3 in a miss of it. Tonic, though, answers back. Sapis with the D-Mech going to be desuited out of there almost immediately. This aggression not working out for the side of Gigantti in the slightest, getting punished. And 1-2-3 not losing a single player. In fact, you can't sort of underestimate how big that was for 1-2-3. Winning that initial fight means that they are going to have the ultimate advantage coming into the next fight.
So the big part there, it's Denia, right? Where Denia got so much healing that he's going to get a barrier in the middle of this fight, and you don't usually expect Lucio to have a barrier by fight number 2. Generally speaking, the offense gets 2 clean runs before ults really rear their head, but this isn't the case here, where now Gigantti, they really need Davin to open this up quickly with the Pulse Bomb. If he doesn't, they're very likely just lose this on ultimates alone, and Gigantti, they're taking this a little bit slower this time, Bren, but now they move in.
It's the slow siege coming out from them. Davin has the Pulse Bomb just waiting for the right target, does connect it onto Denia, actually gets the kill onto Denia and the D-Mech onto Happy Cool. A massive value Pulse Bomb by Davin to try and win this one out for his team, and he is popping off absolutely all over the place. His team Gigantti going to be securing this first checkpoint with 5 minutes now to push through the Streets phase. It's a hard ask for 1-2-3, most definitely. I mean, they've got a few advantages, they've got a few, cards up their sleeves. They've got Denia with the sound barrier, IPN almost has his Transcendence, but it's going to be difficult for them. They need to pull out all the stops.
Well, the thing for 1-2-3 there is that Denia got way too greedy at the sound barrier, and he got punished. Davin got the one target he really needed, but now you see 1-2-3. They are coming back in with the heavy aggression, and Snillo blowing Shaz right up. Not quite to the moon, but definitely more verticality than a Zenyatta would like. And Fraggy using Primal Rage in a questionable situation here. Might have just been better to take the reset and save the Primal Rage.
Yeah, I agree with that. But a better question, ZP, is do you think Zenyatta could fly if he really wanted to? He hovers already. Do you think he could just supercharge himself up and just start flying?
That's like stage 2 of his spiritual enlightenment. He's not there yet, but once he truly becomes one with the Iris, I believe he can fly.
That's it. We're going to see it next patch. Mercy can fly with her ult now. Zenyatta might also be next. Just no clipping around the map. But 1-2-3 on the attack. 2 support ults to work with, but so did Gigantti. In fact, Lynx is holding onto that Dragon Blade, which 1-2-3 are currently lacking as it stands. The question is, how do they break through this choke point? They're going to be leading in with the initiative, but Lynx gets brought down early. That is big for them. In fact, the Pulse Bomb going to be sent out as well. Both support ults being used here by 1-2-3. Gigantti, if they can try and force out Big Goose as well, could be good for the side of 1-2-3. They do end up winning the team fight here, ZP. Not the worst of scenarios.
The problem there for Gigantti is that Lynxer died right before the Transcendence came in. The entire game plan there was Transcendence into Blade. it's difficult to do that when Linkser just gets bursted right down. Now Gigantti is in a rougher situation. They can still barrier in the blade here, but 1-2-3 has tools to make it more even than Gigantti might like. Still though, that is the plan. Linkser moving forward. There's the barrier. Here comes the blade.
He's looking for targets. The blade does get one reset, gets the second one. The kill flowing in right now for Gigantti. Havikul tries to answer back with his own blade, but Davin will bring it into him in the midst of it. And now this cart can look to move forward. This payload with 3 minutes on the clock. They're moving it through the streets as it stands. Now, 1-2-3, how are they going to defend this one? The answer is essentially it's all going to be on Fincy with this tactical visor. But the trouble is, how do you break out of this aggressive forward hold with so much damage here? Fraggy forced out with using his leap pretty early on to try and get out of this fight CP. This could be the opening they were looking for.
1-2-3 is striking right back, and they don't have much room to give. They would really like to have a 2-fight buffer right now, and that's what they're looking for. Gigantti, giving them a little bit of space. They're backing out. Fraggy, it's almost like he wants to use Primal Rage in this situation, but it would be a bad idea indeed. And in the end, self-control wins out. He will save the Primal Rage as 1-2-3 reestablishes themselves here rather quickly. And it's important, Bren, because now they do have that 2-fight buffer.
This is going to be incredibly important for 1-2-3 now because we're at the 2-minute mark and this is entirely doable for either team to really push this into the final checkpoint and secure this map. It's winnable on either side. It's all going to be about this ult economy. Fraggy, if he gets value out of his Primal Rage, this could be big for them, but the fight already kicking off CP. Primal Rage now going to be used by Tonic.
That's a big win condition for Gigantti. They got Snillo down early on. They punished his early aggression, and now they don't have to worry about Snillo. They have the 6-on-5, and they're taking this fight indoors where it's working out for them. Now Davin, Pulse Bomb at the ready. A Winston in his sights. It doesn't even need to as the boom comes from above. Zappos with the self-destruct opens the way. And now Gigantti, one fight away from taking this map and being up 2-0.
This is it, but it is entirely defendable for 1-2-3. They have the ults to use. Havikul so close to the blade. Denia so close to the sound barrier. Gigantti need to be rotating these ultimates effectively if they want to try and secure and finish this one out. As you can see, Davin leads it in with the pulse bomb, doesn't connect onto anyone. In fact, the transcendence by 1-2-3 is going to keep the majority of them alive as it stands. Now Linkser with the blade whips out, looking for the kills. He's going to be met with the sound barrier to the face to try and deny him up, but not before he gets a kill onto Denia.
Dragon Blade versus Dragon Blade onto the fight, but 1-2-3 just a little bit ahead here early on. But now Gigantti, they double down. The barrier is in. Blood is in the water. They smell victory at hand. Will they be able to do it? Snillo, one of the last few alive here with Tonic. Tonic is down. Respawns are coming in, but Gigantti still holding on to a big advantage here on the point. Snillo. It's 1-2-3 just trying desperately to pull this back, but I'm not sure it's going to happen as Gigantti. They're choking them out.
Carts moving in. Nobody to stop it will mean the map is going to be going to Gigantti. And a reminder, that was 1-2-3's map pick. 1-2-3's map pick, and ends up losing it in such a convincing fashion. Gigantti almost full holding them there in the streets phase. And towards the tail end, you know, it was definitely doable for 1-2-3, but it just didn't have the sustain. Running that triple DPS, that's the danger. You don't have the high HP targets to stall it out like Gigantti do with the Diva, with the Winston.
And really, it does come down to the margins there, where you think about how that fight started. It was blade on blade, but Linkser got a little bit more towards the end, and they were able to just force ultimates out a little bit earlier from Gigantti, and those small differences in timing led to a big advantage for Gigantti in the end. And as a result, Gigantti able to take point number 2, take the map, and now they're firmly on their way to giving 1-2-3 their first loss here in Season 1.
Yeah, interesting games ahead of us. I think it's still, even though the scoreline is 2-0 currently to the side of Gigantti, it could be much more even with the follow-up games. Definitely going to be curious about that.
All right, guys. Well, to break down that match as we go, the 2 very happy analysts and 1 stressed out analyst. We're throwing it to Puckett and the guys.